And we're coming at you with a live recording session for an upcoming episode on the Make Sense with Dr. JC podcast that we only stream live, the uncut, maybe he'll make a mistake version of the podcast. So great morning, Melanie. I see some folks joining. Simon Pierce, Bear Sage, one of my favorite Substacks right there. This is a good one. The Bold Insight has joined us. BD Sophia. Yes, great morning, Bear. It is a great morning. It's better than just a good morning, but that's a choice, right? So great morning. Hi, how are you? There's my friend Matthew Brownfield. Captain has joined. Oh, this is awesome. You know, it's so nice when you do a live stream and people join, obviously, but also because when you work hard on something, there's a lot of joy in paying it forward to others, especially when it involves inviting people at the early phase of the week and in the morning to access the real conscious part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, as a reminder. Hey, Captain, as a reminder, all of my work, my podcast, my Make Sense Academy, my Substack, you'll notice that what I'm always doing is not really sharing my opinion as much as my experience and just pointing things out that make you go, hmm. And what stands for, a lot of people ask me what that means because I wear that on my hat all the time. It means I haven't made up my mind. Haven't made up my mind yet. And that's been one of the most powerful things that I've ever done in my, I guess I would say, courageous attempt to remain open and curious to whatever else is out there. I feel like some of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made in life came at the expense of me claiming that I knew something. Exclamation point at the end rather than a question mark. So this whole concept, this live, the podcast, everything that we're doing is all just about giving you a chance to think. And that's important these days, more important than ever, because if you really step back and you distance yourself from the engagement that you typically run, in your default mode, we're not really thinking for ourselves these days. We think that we're thinking for ourselves, but very, very often you can point out that the world is thinking for us through news, social media. We're constantly being persuaded by the things that we consume on a regular basis, the people that we hang out with, the stuff that we read. We've unconsciously kind of pigeonholed ourselves into communities and aspects of society that just give us the same information and the same perspective. So it's my hope that this and all of my work in the Make Sense Substack, the Make Sense Dr. JC podcast, and all of that stuff, the Make Sense Academy is where we actually do the work. And you guys are all welcome to check that out. It's my hope that I just give you a little bit of a time to go, interesting. Because when you think about something, your brain is forced to ask itself, what do you think about that? And that's your prefrontal cortex. So great morning, Maria. Yeah, just so happy to see everybody. Hello to my mother out in the islands, Ellie Jill. Great morning to everybody. So as a reminder, I can see you guys interact. So if you have any questions or statements, and it proves to be good conversation, we will be able to put that on the podcast. Our podcast is now upwards of 300 plus thousand downloads a month. And we've got some great guests coming up and some great big things on the horizon. Captain says, sounds amazing. Will be good. We'll be going through your page. Wow. Thank you, Captain. And I will go through your page. And by the way, there's so much action on Substack. Always good to direct message somebody and say, hey, man, I thought you'd like this. I would love to be able to read something. I always take the people, the way that I read Substacks, to be honest with you, because I have to be able to get done what I can get done. The paid community, the paid subscribers, I always start there. I always read their stuff first. And then I go to the free subscribers. But the ones that reach out to me, it's very, very hard to happen upon something that, you find very interesting when there's thousands of people out there. So please, if you have something special, and also you might want to be the next guest on our new show called The Writer's Way, where we're highlighting, not only what you're writing, but why you're writing it and who you are behind that. It's a great way to collaborate and get a lot of people to be exposed to your stuff. So let's get into this one today. This is awesome. I love this. I call this U 3.0, and it's about breaking free from the illusion of comfort. And I'll get into that, but are you comfortable right now? And if you are, is that a good thing? And is it an illusion or is it real? So, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to spot and seize, just like in Dead Poet Society, seize the day, spot and seize what I call the generous windows of opportunity that I believe come from the universe, God, or whatever you call it, before they close. So, we're going to talk about windows of opportunity. And man, what an amazing thing to become aware and conscious, become armed with the weapon of awareness to be able to spot a window of opportunity, which by the way, you play a role in. You actually are part of the creative process of windows of opportunity. They don't just happen when they're ready. You play a role in it. We'll get into that. But if you can spot them and seize them, they almost start acting like time portals to your leveling up. And I'm in one of those in real time right now. So we'll be able to enjoy that transparently. So let's get into this. I'm going to kind of read the Substack that I'm going to be putting out there. And like I said, if you have any comments or questions, feel free. And if you have like a mean statement or something like that, I welcome it. I welcome it. I love all humans. They're all necessary. They're all needed. Ave Maria, hymn. That's cute. So there are moments in life when I guess the atmosphere feels different. And this is kind of like this recognition of the those moments, those windows of opportunity. So it might come after, unfortunately, a doctor's visit where there's some sort of a warning, right? Could come after a breakup. I've experienced that. It could come after like some sort of devastating business failure or breakdown, whether your business fell apart or you got fired or something like that. Could also come, though, on the bright side through things like inspiration, motivation, or sometimes these moments and that atmospheric change where you're kind of like, something's going on here. It comes sometimes from the stillness of our own contemplations in life, right? Sometimes if you're I think people need to learn how to be bored more. I think we need to learn how to have nothing to do. And I, for one, that I struggle with that. But I think there's a lot of magic that can happen if you're just sitting in the present moment of something we call boredom and you allow yourself to just look at what is rather than contemplate what isn't or worry about what was. So these moments appear as what I call windows of opportunity. And you know what a window of opportunity is. And those are kind of, like I said, temporary time portals and offerings that are inviting you to kind of step into a higher version of yourself. And like I said, I'm in one of those right now. And I guess I could transparently say that I worry sometimes that, we always talk about the one that got away in the sense of a love of your life. I look at windows of opportunity as the ones that got away as well. So I'm very, very eager and excited. And sometimes they're mirages, though, right? Sometimes we think we see one, sometimes because we can convince ourselves. So the best definition, I want to share this, the best definition of health. I love to ask people what health means, and you can put that in the comments if you like. But the best definition of health that I've ever heard came from a mentor of mine that I speak often about. His name is Dr. Pat Tempo, a very smart guy. And he defined health as a place that we've never been before. Isn't that interesting? Because we're going to talk about this concept of leveling up to a 3.0 version of ourselves. And I'll explain that more. But it's a place that we've never been before. So this resonated with me because I don't know about you, but I often find myself, frequently at times trying to catch my health status back, right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this place having a window of opportunity to move to a new place. Very often, I'm a health transformation coach, and a lot of people are always trying to reclaim where they were. That's great. that you'll see that that's 2.0. We're looking to get to 3.0. So that resonated with me big time. And I sit here at the age of 54. This is a 54-year-old dragon. And, I'm looking at a place that I'm currently going. I'm 5 days into it right now. And it's a health transformation, but it's also a business and structure of my life transition right now, or transformation. And if I'm transparent about it, it's scary. That's the thing. When you step into a window of opportunity, it's not just like this easy thing that happens. You're confronted, as I am right now, with what I'll share with you is called the crux, right? I start to have challenges. I'm scared. I don't believe in myself sometimes. Sometimes I have anxiety about it or feelings of overwhelm. So it's scary, and it's an unknown place that requires extra effort. So right now, as I'm looking at leveling up in my life, and I'm sure you can resonate with this, I'm finding myself having to dig deeper for an extra effort. I love the idea of looking at the difference between trying and triumph, which requires a little bit of oomph. So that's that extra effort. But the projected return that I can see that's on the other side of this is massive. It's huge, huge projected return, which can also be scary, right? Sometimes we wonder, is my greatest fear failure, or is it that I will succeed and I can't handle it? So the tricky part about these windows, though, and I think we all know this, and I alluded to it before, is that they don't stay open forever, these windows, right? They call you and they offer you these opportunities, but if you don't move on them, they'll close. And the reason why they close is because, life just keeps moving, right? That's the challenging part of it, is it's not that like it's some sort of a punishment or something like that. That's not why they close, but you have this opportunity, and if you pass it by, life continues to go on. So it's like you move on from it. It's not like some sort of a punishment. So the idea of stepping into this place and taking this opportunity to go to the next level, your 3.0, it's abnormal and it's extraordinary, and it requires more than motivation. I think we've all been brainwashed to think that there's some prerequisites that are required for us to level up: motivation, self-belief, timing, things like that. But what I'm talking about, that might help you like get started, and I'll shed light on that. But I'm talking about something more. It's extraordinary. It's abnormal for you to go to 3.0. And that's an important recognition. So it requires more than motivation. It requires a decision to push through the most challenging part of the climb. And I'm kind of almost through that challenging part. And I call that the crux. For those of you that don't know what a crux is, I'll get into that. But this idea of 3.0 is not like just some sort of ordinary achievement, right? It's who you become when following through becomes your new normal. Now, that's an interesting thing. Like we're very often looking at fighting through tough times when we're in these windows of opportunity to reach some sort of a destination or achievement. But what I'm saying is when you reach this achievement, the payoff is so big because you become a different person, and you'll see that you can get comfortable as that person. You can get comfortable as the version of you that you currently think is overwhelming. I've done it many times. So I want to share the three phases. I've identified three phases of seizing this window. So what I mean is you find this window, and there's three phases that you'll have to go through. You'll have to go through because it's not easy in order for you to seize it. Remember, we're learning to spot it and seize it. So I've identified three phases that we must navigate in order to pass go and collect $200. I don't know if the kids today would understand that. That's a Monopoly reference right there. You guys remember that? Pass go and collect $200. It's a great part of the game, right? So the key to winning and leveling up your health, when we're talking about physical health sometimes as well, is your understanding and accepting these three phases. So these three phases I'm going to share with you, it's important to embrace and understand and accept them. Because if you don't know about them and you get hijacked by them, that'll be the reason you'll turn around. So you have to know about them. But then once you bring that into your consciousness, that it's going to be hard, there's going to be challenges and all of that stuff, you have to embrace them because they're part of it. So the Stoics would say the obstacle is the way. So that would indicate that when an obstacle shows up, you would reframe it and say, oh, this must be taking me where I want to go. Right. So very, very important. So the key to winning and leveling up is embracing those rather than looking at them as inconveniences and hard, which is our knee jerk reaction. So I believe the universe, this is just my own belief. I believe the universe has placed everything that we desire, especially the good stuff, inconveniently on the other side of a big pile of poop. Now, I don't know if we're allowed to swear on Substack, but you know that there's another way of saying poop. So, challenges, setbacks, fear, failure, fatigue, lack of self worth and belief, and overwhelm, right? These are all features of what I call the obstacle course that we must navigate in order to take our seat at the table at the top of the mountain, the winner's table. Now, here's what's interesting about the seat. That seat is yours. Nobody else is going to take that seat. It might be collecting dust, but there is a seat, and it might be your writing career, it might be a health career. Right? I love helping people level up like that. But there's this seat that your 3.0 will claim at the winner's table. Nobody else will take it, but we do have an expiration date. So there's a lot of empty seats up there, right? There's a lot of people, they say the richest soil in the world, the richest plot of land is a cemetery where everybody dies with their dreams still in them, right? So that's really, really important to recognize. So let's go over phase one. So phase one, I call the spark of opportunity. So this is about spotting it. So windows usually arrive with some sort of rush of energy, motivation, urgency, and it's associated with self-belief and, blending in the illusion that this is the perfect time. So we know that there's certain times that we feel that way. And you'll see that's a good way to start, but it's an illusion, right? So the new year, right? January 1st, this magical dust happens overnight on the end of the year. The new year delivers this kind of an impact, doesn't it? It's like we get this illusion that the timing is right. It's like who programmed into this? That's an interesting thing for us to go research if anybody wants to do that. So you're fueled by this fresh why when you have this illusion, maybe the fear of missing out, on some sort of a dream of a better life, right? So you're fueled by that stuff. So I contend that windows of opportunity are actually not created by like the universe. I think they're created in partnership between this supportive universe. I believe the universe, God, like I said, whatever you call it, I believe that it's in support of our readiness to level up. So that's the first thing that I want to just share. My observation from my own life and all these thousands of people that I've coached is that if you are open and ready to receive your level up, the universe will comply. But if you're not open and ready, you'll notice that there's no windows of opportunity. Just one to just stay put. So if your perception is that you are ready, you'll notice that the universe will open up that window and see if you actually are. Now, what I mean is when the universe questions and challenges to see if you are actually ready, what it's going to do is it's going to challenge you, right? So I see a lot of comments in here. By the way, I just hope you guys all support one another. I love people that just support one another. The easiest way to grow your Substack is in collaboration, right? I'm doing this new thing right now where I will write a piece. Tomorrow, I'm writing a piece on self care, and there's this great, great mind on Substack that I'm going to ask and tag her to collaborate and say, "What do you think about this?" That's a great way to build your Substack. Hello, May. Welcome to the conversation. So we're in phase one, spark of opportunity. So our perception, if it's that of being ready, you'll see that the universe will comply and support you and open up a window. But I want to give you a warning. Here's some fair warning. The first phase, right? And that's the January 1st phase, is what I call, and you might be in it right now, you might be in what I call the jacuzzi experience, right? So the jacuzzi experience is a great way to start. And that's what you feel when you're listening to something like this. A lot of people indulge and spend a lot of time and money on personal growth and go to seminars and things like that. By the way, I just got some great news. I've got a lot of things starting to happen because when you level up, you start to get a lot of opportunities. But I just found out, I don't know if there's any Jim Quick fans out there, but he's my best friend. And he's got this huge event in San Diego in December, and he just asked me to be the MC for his live event. So yeah, scary, right? But I'm in. I'm in. So that warning of the jacuzzi experience, when you're in the jacuzzi, it's warm, it's inviting, it seems like everything's going well, you're in that flow state, right? And it's easy to sit in the jacuzzi experience as a result of that excitement, right? Thinking that the timing is right and having high motivation and clarity with your goal and believing in yourself and all of that stuff. And that's a great way to start, right? It's supposed to feel good, right? So don't think that the jacuzzi experience is bad. It's a normal thing to experience it. However, make no mistake, this is also the very reason that most people set themselves up for failure is they associate the jacuzzi experience and all of those things being in alignment with it's time to go. They associate it with their success. And the reason why that's important, and I'm going to give you a statistic, is if you're using things like timing, self-belief, and motivation as a way to carry you through to the promised land, well, what are you going to do when those things are not there? So I did a little bit of research on human beings and how often we wake up with that trifecta, right? Of everything seeming to be perfect to go, right? It's very, very often not the case, right? So there's no actual data and research, so don't quote me on this, but I figured it out just by looking at a lot of stuff. Um, and I just wanted to know how many days a year does a human being, you and I, wake up feeling motivated, believing in themselves, and feeling that the timing is right? How many days a year? So these are typically associated with identifying that window of opportunity. So this is why it's important. Sometimes this is the jacuzzi experience, that first, right? And then the universe starts challenging you to see if you're ready. It opens it up, but it challenges you. So it's not too often that we hit that trifecta. So if you're only fully in belief that, you know, those things have to be the prerequisites for you to go, you're going to be in trouble because I figured it out that, and some people are more, some people are less because of their readiness and their eagerness and their drive, but it's about 20 days a year out of 365. So if I only have 20 days, right, you can understand how precious those days are. But the reason why there's only 20 days is because the other, 345 days, we don't feel motivated. We don't feel excited. We don't believe in ourselves. I don't believe in myself and feel excited and motivated every morning. But what do I do about that? I have my Rise Up Great Morning Routine. We teach this to everybody. If you want a copy of that, just reach out to me. I'll give it to you. It's a PDF. But we teach this and we live it in the Make Sense Academy. So phase one is what I call a choice point. That's a very cool term. It's a choice point, and that's kind of like this fork in the road where opportunity presents, but you have to make a choice, right? And that's that fork in the road where you have the opportunity to kind of take the red pill or the blue pill to make that quality decision, and I'll highlight what that means, that you're going to go no matter what. So think about what no matter what means. This is what it takes. And everybody here is going to have these opportunities, and you're just either going to pass through or not, right? So you're going to make that quality decision that you're not in this just for the spark, that first phase, right? Or that dopamine hit and that illusion that you're doing something because you're fired up, but for the long stretch. And you're going to make a decision and a commitment to keep moving even when the window doesn't feel so magical anymore. So that's a big distinction, right? There's a lot of lies that we tell each other or tell ourselves, and society tells us to keep us calm and in line that close these windows. So every opportunity comes with as Pressfield says in The War of Art, one of my favorite books ever, he talks about the idea of resistance, right? So the windows of opportunity come with resistance. You don't get to get away from that. You get resistance, right? And resistance has a voice in your head. Now, I welcome you to decide what that voice is called. I call the voice of resistance in my head, I call it the little liar. When my book comes out in February, you'll read about that. And that voice in my head that lies to me, it doesn't shout. It kind of like convincingly whispers in my ear so that nobody else could hear and find out that it's full of you know what. But it says things like, hey, the time is not right, right? Let's start after the busy season. Let's wait until Monday or at least after the holidays. Let's be realistic, the voice says. Or maybe we'll just do it next year, right? We're very good at that. I just need to feel ready first, right? So you might have heard me talk about this readiness, and you could actually use that to close your windows. Say, but I'm not ready, right? Is that you saying that, or is that the little liar, right? This isn't the perfect program and structure and opportunity for me. It needs to be just right. The planets need to be in alignment and everything needs to be right. Show me one story of just immense success where everything was perfect. It doesn't exist. So why do you think it's going to exist for you, right? Don't wait for perfect. Create perfect, which happens along the way. So there's just too much going on right now. I love that. It's not the right time and there's just too much going on. I love to just kind of say, so did you speak to God and get some sort of definitive answer of how much time you have, that you have the ability to say now is not the right time? Isn't that silly? So that is a forgive you for you know not what you do. We do that unconsciously. So the harsh truth is this, right? These are illusions, those voices. The timing will never be perfect, just like when you have kids, right? Motivation will never last, ever, 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 unless you're just like a reality bender, waiting for you to feel like perfect about everything. It's kind of like the story called Waiting for Godot, right? I don't know if anybody knows that story, but it's a fable of these two friends sitting in a park waiting for a friend that never shows up, waiting for Godot. So windows are limited time offers. This is the limited time offer. You might get 20, right? But that's out of a whole year, right? They're limited time offers and they close quickly. Because you can close them very, very quickly by saying one of these lies that you now know is not you. And you're going to die one day. I know that that's a tough thing to say, but this fan saw Gary Vaynerchuk, who I'm going out to dinner with, by the way, on October 7th. I'm going to go out to dinner with Gary V and my friend Jim Quick. So Gary Vee's going by in his limo and a fan runs up to him and he rolls the window down because he's a cool guy. And she says, Gary, in 3 words, tell me what the secret to success is. And he responds without a hitch. He says, you're gonna die. Right. And it's true. Right. It's true. So this is the choice point. This is that choice point that we were talking about. And that's the instant and opportunity is kind of like in front of you where you answer the should I stay or should I go? So why am I telling you all of this? Remember, we have to become aware of these things. If you're not armed with the awareness of the things that happen to all of us or for all of us, and you think that your situation is unique, you will close your window. And I'm telling you right now, some of you are in the window right now and contending, maybe fueled by the jacuzzi, right? Some of you have passed through the crux, right? Some of you are on the other side, getting comfortable with it, but there's miraculous things that will happen for all of us, right? So phase 2 is that crux, right? The crux of commitment. It comes with the commitment. And I find what's interesting is when you really contend and you go after something, I find that it becomes harder. It's harder for those that really commit to things. Have you ever noticed that? So in the science of flow, I'm a big fan of the science of flow. Very hard to, he's a Hungarian American psychologist and his name is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, right? I don't need to say his name perfectly, but he shows us that to get into this flow state where everything is effortlessly just crushing, right? And you're just having an amazing day. What's interesting about it is that the flow state sits on the other side of our ability to navigate struggle and challenge. So what that's saying is that there's a step, a necessary step to entering the flow state, and it's struggle and it's challenge. So the next time you experience a letdown, a setback, or one of these things, you could reframe that and say, this is the step. This is the way, right? So life is the same way, isn't it? Every opportunity worth pursuing has a crux, the big pile of poop, right? What you're pursuing, the outcome is on the other side of the crux. That long day or night when your body like just screams to quit, right? Or maybe the triggered cravings that my clients have when they're trying to lose weight and max and level up their health, those triggered cravings that seem to like mock your discipline. That's what I wrote. Isn't that interesting how you can get triggered to do something that mocks your discipline, belittles it, and you start shaming yourself? So the doubts from people, I see these people that just feel compelled to say negative things and criticize unsolicited your work when you write something, or this whole idea of like, hey, you didn't do that, you chat GPT'd it or something like that. Why do people feel compelled? You didn't ask them to come in and say, you're no good, right? So those are things that are there, right? And that what I'm saying is those are not things you can avoid. Those are the crux, right? And your excuses lose their power as soon as you break through the crux. So here's the value of breaking through those hard times is they take your excuses and they diminish their power. It robs their power. And your why power, the reason why you want what's on the other side, your North Star, that which makes it bright, your why power, right? Starts to overcome your why not. You see how important it is to know this stuff? And why am I sharing it with you? Because I want you to have an extraordinary experience and not just be okay with okay. So temptations become background noise. What I see is when somebody's like trying not to eat like pizza because they're trying to lose weight, the temptations to eat pizza become background noise when they break through the crux. They get stronger. It's kind of like liquid courage, maybe, but in a healthy way. And suddenly you feel locked in. Now, what in our family, what it means to be locked in, like right now, as far as my health goals and my business goals, I'm locked in. And what that means is I'm locked in a room with them and only them and the things that support them, nothing else. Right? I'm locked in, right? I'm locked in with the things that matter most to me. So that window of opportunity seems to receive you when you do this, push through the crux, and the compound effect of forward progress begins. You start to stack the compound effect of progress. And that makes it not easy, but easier. I like easier. I never expect easy, right? That's when I fall down the stairs and broke my foot, right? Because I thought I was doing great, and all of a sudden that happened. So this is the moment every human is seeking, right? That moment when following through, which is I think the hardest thing for humans to do, through stops being a battle and it starts being your default mode. When you know deep down inside that nothing can stop you. Do you know what that feels like when you're committed to something and you break through that second step of the crux and you say, nothing can stop me. I'm never going back. You get to that place, man, you're in good shape. It's not over, but you're in good shape. So I'm entering that moment right now. That's the phase I'm in right now. I'm still in the crux. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of offerings for me to stop, you know, doing my eating, my fueling. I have a specific program. If anybody needs a goof proof way to lose weight and build new healthy habits that'll stick, reach out to me. That's what I do. That's what I do for money. So I'm entering that moment right now with my health journey and this idea of leveling up to 3.0. So breaking free from the comfort of 2.0. This is an important distinction. For most of my life, I don't know about you, but follow through has been my greatest challenge. And I looked this up. Do you know what percent? I'll let you on Substack for the live version here. Just guess. What percent of Americans, don't look it up, what percent of Americans follow through with New Year's resolutions in general? Does anybody know? What percent of Americans, we're just saying America right now, but it's probably throughout the world. What percent of Americans out of 100%, what percent follow through with New Year's resolutions? Anybody? I don't know what the timing is on these comments, but go ahead. But I'm just going to share with you it's 9%. So that's not a smart structure. And by the way, the 9% that do succeed didn't succeed because they did it on New Year's. It's because something else, right? So for years, I tried to lose weight, dozens of times. I was always a heavy kid, and that carried on into my adult life. Diet after diet, workout after workout, always starting strong, always falling short. But what happened when I entered the 9% is that one day in 2007, I found myself kind of staring into the window of opportunity. So a window opened, right? But I was ready. I was ready. There was a program, and this was when I was a full time chiropractor. There was a program that a lot of my friends had introduced me to, but something in me was different. I was ready, and I just knew it. This is it. This is it. Now, that could be a mirage, an illusion too, but it worked, right? So I was at that choice point and I didn't care what came with it. My urgency and my desire and my why power for what I wanted, and it was attached to my kids, made me choose to go no matter what. So I know now that I was fueled in the beginning, right, with those illusions of the jacuzzi experience that the time was right. I was motivated and I believed in myself. That was not a long-term strategy. However, that time, which made it different, I made a quality decision. I remember I recognized what would be hard about it, what I would have to give up, and how long it would take. I didn't think it was gonna be fast, right? And I decided to do it anyway, and I got locked in. So 5 months later, this is almost 20 years ago, lost 80 pounds. I got myself down eventually to, like, 10% body fat, and I wasn't just in better shape, but here's the payoff. I actually transformed into somebody else. By the way, some people ask me, "Why do you call yourself the dragon?" Because I metamorphosized into a different version of myself. You might think it's crazy, but you have a different version of yourself. Feel free to name it and call it an animal or something. I'm a dragon. My wife is known as the chicken. So, exercise, for instance, became non negotiable. I stopped eating when I was stressed and I started going to the gym, right? And it was a coping method for stress. So, I fueled my body with purpose. And that's not just nourishment. I started to protect my goals and dreams by consciously controlling the information that I consumed. I stopped watching TV and news. We watch movies and stuff like that, but we stopped watching TV and news. A lot of people don't agree with that, but that's what I wanted to protect my goals and dreams. I didn't want an outside force. It was a gamble when I started to like scroll and do all of that stuff. This is what I like about Substack, by the way. It's a much healthier form of social media. But I cut out TV and news and I built my Rise Up Great Morning routine. Once again, if you're interested in that, just reach out and ask. It's a PDF. I'll send you a link for it. So I lived this way for about 19 years, right? And created what I didn't know. I thought it was pretty good, right? Way, way more, way, way healthier and living a better life than most people. But now I understand that that was my 2.0. Remember, we're talking about releasing from the comfort of 2.0. So my breakthrough was from 1.0, where I was in survival mode, right, into a lifestyle built on discipline, consistency, and this whole new identity, right? So that's what's weird about this whole thing is there's a lot of danger because 2.0 is better than most, right? It's good, right? It might not be great, or it might be great, but it's comfortable. And even 1.5 from 1 would be comfortable because it's so much better. And we have this internal thing going on in our brain where better can get good enough. So I stayed there and got a lot of praise for it and built big businesses and all of that stuff based on my results. But today I've just had an awakening. And that's kind of what I'm sharing with you today. And it's a way of kind of me putting myself in front of you. You're going to see me every Monday. So you'll see me go through the changes. But I've accepted a new opportunity and chance to step into a new version of myself out of the comfort zone of the 2.0 and go to 3.0. And the same challenges began whispering, Why do you need to do this? It's good enough, right? So I'm navigating those things right now that say, you're better than most people as far as health. Why would you bother, right? So every morning I wake up, the choice is mine. And I'm in the crux. I'm pushing through it because I've decided to, and I know I will. There's no way I'm going back. So, but the offer is to retreat into the 2.0. So just so you know, I'm sharing that with you because if you do push into this, you could very easily get comfortable with good enough. Right. So that's why I share this, not as somebody who finished the climb, but as somebody actively stepping through a window right in front of you right now. And I'm professing it. And I guess I'm looking for accountability from you and the universe. Right. So this piece that I created, this episode represents my commitment and my quality decision. I'm going to live it out loud. I'm not going to do it in the dark. So the third phase is integration, right? So the window doesn't just deliver you to a new place, it demands that you become somebody new, right? This is a big thing. There's a saying, one of the core tenets of our Make Sense Academy is that it's who you are that determines how well what you do works. So what that means is if you're out there doing a lot of stuff, but you're not getting results, it's probably because you're not yet the person for the job, which happens along the way. So the habits that I once had to force, right? Like things like exercise, hydration, nourishment, education, right? A lot of the things that I do on autopilot right now had to become automatic, like my new normal. They weren't chores anymore. That's what it takes to stick. And a lot of people don't think, because if you're just looking at the scale or what you see in the mirror and you haven't like transitioned and integrated this into your new lifestyle. I'll give you an example. I used to have a glass of wine every night years and years and years ago. And I was always excited to get back to that when I was done with my health journey. I can't remember the last time I had a drink. I can't even remember. And it's not because I had a drinking problem. It's because it doesn't apply anymore, right? It's who you are that determines how well what you do works. I'm changed. So this is you 3.0 that we're talking about, where the extraordinary begins to feel ordinary. Now there's danger in that too, isn't there? Right? Because you're never done, right? We're saying no to tolerations, distractions, and things that like don't serve us, right? And they require no debate. You should be, if you know the way you want to live your life physically, mentally, and financially, you should be able to make a toleration list and say, these things don't apply. They don't serve us. They don't pay our bills, these people. I stopped caring what people thought. I often wear this shirt that says breaking news. I don't care. Now I care, but I don't care about stupid shit. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care about things that don't matter, but that's only because I know what I want. So it's a place where my North Star isn't something that I have to focus on anymore. It's something that just becomes the direction that I live in. So U 3.0 is not about chasing goals, by the way. It's about embodying transformation. And once you've locked in, the momentum becomes self sustaining. And yes, here's a caveat disclaimer: once you've achieved your 3.0, here's the thing, your 3.0 gets absorbed into your comfort zone, right? Your uncomfortable becomes comfortable and it becomes your 2.0. So that's what I just did for almost 19 years. I lived comfortably in what I thought was 3.0, but I made it my 2.0. It got absorbed into my comfort zone. And just like Steve Jobs used to say, once he realized that there was an edge to his comfort zone, he would go out to that as if it was a bubble and poke it. So I started to ask myself, and I've done a lot of personal growth. Worked with plant medicine. I've done a lot of interesting things to just find out what else is, going on out there. What else is there? Because as far as I know for sure, this is it. Like, I don't know about the whole reincarnation and heaven, and all that stuff. I don't know. It's fascinating. I don't know though. Remember, I haven't made up my mind about it. So as far as I know, I'm going on the assumption that this is it. So I don't want to just sit back and just accept what is. I always want to poke the bubble, right? So this goes on forever. And if you desire an extraordinary life experience, this is what it takes. Make sense? So just final thoughts on this. Windows of opportunity aren't random gifts. We got a dog barking in the background. And my wife right now is probably, this is what the live gives you. My wife is probably thinking, oh my God, it's going to ruin his podcast episode. So windows of opportunity are not random gifts. They're time portals and invitations to what I consider a training ground. The hard work that you're going to do today, look at it and reframe it as a training ground to make you stronger and get attached and fall in love with the work. They test your willingness to say yes to the endurance of the crux. That's what the window of opportunity does. It tests you and it says, here's the crux. Do you want it? Or is this just another one of these illusions? And it gives you that test and to keep going long enough, right? To find yourself locked in and on the other side. That's what it is, right? So every window comes with that choice point. Look for the choice point and recognize I'm at the choice point. Red pill, blue pill. Stay the same, go to the next level. So it comes with a choice point. Do you step through or do you just retreat into the illusion of comfort? I love that. So where are you at this time? What phase are you in right now? Are you kind of lost and you're looking for it? Well, now you know you just need to be ready and you have to be open and ready to receive it. The universe wants to partner with you and align with you. Or are you on the other side or are you at the crux like me? So your 1.0 is survival mode. So if you're in survival mode, call that 1.0. And it's not a bad place to be. In fact, it's a great thing to distinguish. I'm at 1.0. Doesn't matter where you are. It just matters that you can call it and name it. So 1.0 is survival mode, and it's just getting you by right now. Your 2.0 is a dramatic improvement from 1.0, and it's considered by many to be good enough. But your 3.0, that's the place that you've never been. That's how you'll know that it's something. You've never been there. And that's why it's so scary, right? And it's the place that you've always dreamed of. Maybe you stopped dreaming about it. So you got to dream big. And it's where growth lives outside the comfort zone. So that's how you'll know it's a great thing. So the only way to get there is to step through the window and refuse to ever turn back. And that's my message for the day. So love and appreciate you all. I want to give BD Sapphire the reward for the most comments. I mean, holy cow, that's amazing. I love people that just engage on that level. Please direct message me. I want to know more about what you write about. Anytime I see somebody committing to anything, even if it's something that I don't agree with, I notice them. I notice them because they're unicorns. So as you'll see when a Substack comes out, I have an awesome free gift that I give out, absolutely free, and I call it the Good Shift Kit, right? And it's got my morning routine in it, and it's got some cool conversation starters because I teach a lot of communication. You'll see that it's got my Substack, but all you have to do is subscribe to that. Remember, if you want to be the first and you want to get a lot of the cool free stuff, I welcome you to spend $8 a month and become a paid subscriber. I put a lot of focus and attention on those people in collaboration and read their stuff. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much, paid or not. Just such a great feeling to feel like you have the ability to impact people. So love and appreciate you all. PLR says, I'm a Capricorn unicorn. I love it. I love it. You sure are. So when this comes out and when the Substack comes out for this, you'll notice that the podcast episode will be up on top. And then you'll have the Substack with the links and things like that. If anything I said is interesting to you, please reach out. If you want to be on the writer's way and highlight you as a writer, please reach out. And other than that, it's Monday. Have an amazing day. Love and appreciate you all. Bye-bye now.